Opie's Podcast, WATP.
Gregg Opie Hughes, former intern to Stephanie Miller, as we learned earlier in the program today, starts off his show. He's at the beach, and you know what he wants to do. He wants to give us a weather report.
Finally, the clouds moved through, and we had a fine beach day yesterday, but it got a little crazy. Before we get into it, let's say hi to Jerry Shepardini. He's becoming a regular on my live stream. What's up, Jerry? How are you?
And yes, he did start with singing, but I can't play it every time.
Yeah.
It's always the singing and then the weather report. That was great. Just wanted to give you that. So things got a little crazy. That's a nice tease.
Crazy.
That's a nice tease because Opie came with a story today. He doesn't do this very often. He actually has something to talk about, and he starts off talking about this crazy day he had the day before.
So yesterday was quite the day, man. Quite the day. I'm a little effed up. I'm not going to lie to you. When you get a big shot of adrenaline going through your body, it kind of messes you up for the rest of the day, right? Right? We were having just a normal beach day. My kids wanted to go swimming, so I went in with my kids. The waves are big, but usually you kind of pay attention to the waves. You're like, all right, the kids can handle this. I don't see any riptides, although riptides are very, very mysterious. Sometimes you don't see them, and they're there. And I was swimming with my kids, and something about the waves, I was like, you know what? I don't like how these things are breaking. Something just didn't seem right. So I actually told my kids to move in a little bit so they could handle the ocean. I've always told my kids since they were like very, very little, you gotta respect the ocean. Don't ever turn your back on the ocean.
Life lessons from Gregg. He's still messed up from the shot of adrenaline he had yesterday.
Yes.
Could you imagine? Like you get up the next day and you're like, yeah, yesterday was such a wild day. I'm still fucked up from it. It's supposed to be a crazy thing that happened.
I better have more coffee.
I'm very excited about this. He's looking for riptides. There might be a riptide over there. I'm not sure, but you kids come over here. Respect that ocean. Don't turn your back on
I want to know how
ocean.
they've been disrespecting the ocean. What have they been doing?
Probably throwing cans in there and stuff, I would imagine. I don't know.
That's not good.
So this is where the story begins. This is where things start to get a little crazy.
And out of the corner of my eye, I see these two kids to my left. They're about probably 100, 150 yards away from where we were swimming. They are just a little younger than my kids. So I think it was like a 12-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl. And they're boogie board, and they're having the time of their lives. But to boogie board, they got to be way out there, and then they're bringing these waves all the way to the shore. And I'm like, man, that looks like fun. And I was thinking to myself, maybe we should get the boogie boards for later on in the day.
Okay. The fact that Opie had a thought of maybe I should get my boogie boards out is neither here nor there. Not necessary in this story at all. I think he just wanted to brag that he also owns a boogie board. Because what we're about to find out has nothing to do with whether or not he's going to go boogie boarding later. But he spots these kids. And the details, I think, are important as we listen to this story. Because I'm not sure about every detail in this. He spots these kids 150 yards away. That's a ways.
Yeah.
And I assume he means down the beach, probably not all the way out 150 yards out into the ocean, right? But I guess they're pretty far out, as he said, because they're catching waves. So he sees the father of these kids, who does seem alarmed.
So next thing you know, I see the father run down to the shoreline, and he's in a panic. That's the first thing I saw. He's in a panic. I'm like, oh, shit. These kids are these kids are in a riptide. The one girl, she let go of her boogie board. That's when I was like, okay, this is a situation.
Something I want to point out, because we're just setting up the story right now with these clips. Opie's almost talking normally.
Yeah.
It's interesting that when you prep, when you have something to say, you don't feel the need to have that crutch of your silly voice.
Yeah, the filler.
Because he has to think he's trying to be entertaining, so he has to pronounce words wrong and do the voices. But now he actually has a story he wants to tell, and he's kind of just explaining it like a normal adult would.
Yeah, it's actually moving along. He's not repeating himself.
Right. Isn't that interesting? It's almost like maybe he should prep more often and the show would be better. But he won't learn that lesson. So the father seems alarmed. He's looking over. The dad's going, oh no, what's going on? And Opie's looking for those riptides again. Mm-hmm. Is there one of those riptides over there? Darn. That's how they show up.
And the girl let go of the boogie board.
Yes.
Now it's a situation.
That makes it a situation, yes, as we're going to learn about coming up. Have you watched this yet, Producer
No.
Chris? Okay, good. I'm glad you're learning about this as we go. So now Opie's got a dilemma because there's a situation. Does he get himself involved in this situation?
When you see something where you're like, oh man, I got to get involved, you really start weighing, like, how much am I going to help? I got 2 small kids that I got to take care of. I can't risk my life fully here, but let's see what I could do. All this goes through your mind. But I knew the kids were in trouble. I knew they needed a little help. I knew I could help a bit.
Well, they're dead now. They're dead. They didn't make it.
So I got on my boogie board.
I like that he goes, I can probably help a little bit. And if they get whisked off into the ocean, then whatever. I tried. I do whatever I could do. But I got kids of my own,
Who are also in the ocean.
This is, it's this life and death thing that's going through his head as he's watching these kids on a boogie board, and the dad seems slightly concerned. So now Opie makes that decision. He's like, nope. They need a hero. It's time.
I started making a beeline for the kids because I could handle the ocean. Not to brag, but I can. But I still respect it.
He respects it.
Did anyone order a hero?
Okay, so respecting the ocean, but also beelining through it in order to get to these kids. Now we find out what's going on with Dad. Remember, they're in the Hamptons. So this dad's got some money, and he's out at the beach looking good.
He's like, I'll give you some money to get the fuck away from my kids.
He's trying to impress while he's out on the beach.
It's obvious they're getting pulled out further and further. It is an absolute riptide. And I see their father. He's dressed to the nines for the beach. He's got the fancy designer fucking sunglasses on. He's got the latest iPhone. He's got fancy beach shoes. He's got a fucking, probably a Rolex watch. So he's just taking everything off before he goes into the ocean. He's just getting everything that's expensive off his body. And then he got down to where he was wearing something over a bathing suit. At this point, I'm already pretty close to, getting to the kids. And I yelled to him on shore. I go, you got to get in here now. Now.
Opie is taking over this operation. He is now managing it. He's going to coordinate who's doing what on this front. I love this idea. First off, expensive watches can go underwater.
Yes.
It's fine. You don't have to take off your Rolex.
You don't have to take off your phone either.
Well, also, your shoes, like everything he's describing here is like this guy's obviously loaded. It's fine. But this guy's sitting there going, I think my kids are dying. Well, I'm going to get this shirt off. He's just taking his time.
And he never actually described an outfit. He just said he had sunglasses and a phone and a watch.
Yeah.
But he was dressed to the nines.
Dressed to the nines.
Yeah. Beach nines. It's a different type of nines.
So Opie's out there is like, your daughter's already dead, but get in here and save your son.
Well, yeah, this gets very interesting as Opie goes in to save the lives of these young children.
I was able to get to the boy first, and I just yelled to him, like, grab my hand, because at this point I'm still standing. Grab my hand. He's on a boogie board. I'm like, I can pull you in. He was like, some old dude telling me to grab his hand. I could see the thought process.
Smart
I could
kid.
see it. He's like 12, maybe 13.
Okay, a couple of things going on in this. So this is this really dire situation that's going on where he's screaming at the dad, get in here. These kids, they need our help. Opie's able to walk over to this kid. He's still standing. And he's like, hey, man. And the guy's like, buddy, I'm good. So the kid's obviously not concerned.
Also, that's not my dad.
The kid's not concerned. Opie, it's not that far out if Opie's walking over there just standing next to this kid on a boogie board. So already I'm going like, how heroic was this adventure that he was on? And so, he goes on to explain.
He's losing the battle fast, but he's going to be okay. I don't want to oversell any of this. He's going to be okay because he's on a boogie board. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. He's on a boogie board. He'll drift off. He'll end up somewhere in New Jersey.
Somewhere nice.
Maybe Maryland. He'll be fine. He'll figure out his way. Find a new family. Start over again. All right. So a minute ago, Opie's screaming at the dad, running out there, worried about this kid. And then he's just like, but anyway, he has a flotation device, so I'm not that worried about it. Okay. Interesting. And what about the girl who threw her boogie board away? This is now the pressing matter.
What am I going to do? Now the father, he's in a complete panic. He goes all the way out to his son. They're both way over their heads. The waves are like this and pulling out. I now go for the girl. I got her again. I'm like, hold my hand. And we're holding steady. But I'm not making any progress to actually get her safely on shore. Now I'm thinking to myself, all right, we can swim sideways because that's what you do in a rip current. You got to swim sideways.
Yes! Opie, yes! This is what you do. The current's taking you off to sea, so you swim sideways, parallel with the shore, to get out of the Riptide, and then you're able to come back pretty easily. Opie is now standing with this girl. The sun is, who knows, standing with this girl, holding her, trying to work up against the tide. And now he realizes this guy who respects the ocean, who's been living in this property for all this time, like, oh, there actually is a solution to this that I know about. I probably should have done that from the get-go, or just yelled to the kids, like, hey, swim sideways. Before you go running out and yelling at the dad to, forget about the Rolex! There's no saving it! Opie explains that he is still standing up.
But I'm holding steady with the girl. We're not going out because I'm kind of on my feet.
He's still standing there. How dire is this that he's in the ocean holding this girl while he's standing up? Well, now we find out what's going on with the father and son.
The guy and his son, they're just fucking God. I mean, they are so far out there. I'm like, how did that happen so fast? He was right there in my grasp.
So now I'm thinking to myself, this kid's got a flotation device. As Opie mentioned, he'll be good. But he screamed at the dad to come running in, and now the dad has no flotation device, and he's got ripped out at to sea. Like, this is your fault, Opie.
Well, the dad doesn't sound smart either.
Well,
Taking orders.
I don't know a lot about the dad.
Taking orders from a homeless-looking stranger.
I don't know a ton about the dad. I can't pass judgment on that. But I just thought that was interesting that all of a sudden, like, the father and the son are gone. Like, all right, it's just you and me now.
We're starting a new life.
I'm your dad now. But this is obviously very traumatic for Opie because he starts thinking about life and death.
And I'm like, how are we going to take care of this? I'm starting to think, oh, my God, this is a situation. Then I start thinking about my kids and my wife, and I'm like, How much help do you do before you're risking your own life? That's what went through my head the entire day yesterday after this went down.
So now Opie's thinking about, like, well, am I going to risk my life to save these kids? Or do I go, I did everything I can do. All right, see ya. Good luck with everything.
I'll sell your Rolex.
Nice meeting you. Producer Chris has to go.
Ow.
Producer Chris is out. Bye, Producer Chris.
Bye.
You're going to miss out on the new game.
Shut up.
I know. He's very upset about it.
Was he not respecting the ocean? What did he do?
Go to hell.
Yeah. Apparently somebody cut the cable lines coming into his house, so he has no internet. And so he has to go home and figure that out. Well,
trolls.
okay. This is very scary. Opie's standing in the ocean holding onto a girl, wondering whether or not he should just let her go because he's got kids of his own. And the father and the son are way out into the ocean. Who knows if they'll ever come back? But thank goodness things turn.
I swear to you, at this point, the cavalry was coming down the beach. It was a golf cart type vehicle, like an ATV with 4 or 5, I think it was 4 studs of lifeguards. There were two girls, 2 guys. They had the surfboard. They had the thing with the yellow rope.
He really paints a picture, doesn't he? I feel like I was there.
It's amazing, that thing with the yellow rope.
Yeah. So the lifeguards have arrived. Thank goodness for that. And because Opie, right before this, was thinking, like, I'm just going to let these people go, right? Because I don't want nothing to do with this. I have shit to do tomorrow. I got to do my stream in the morning. So thank goodness they showed up.
So I hold on to the girl until the lifeguards get in the water. They got to the girl quickly because we weren't that far out.
Okay. Again, Adam, like the way he's explaining this, was just like, this doesn't sound like a big deal at all. Like you could have just walked sideways, got away from the Riptide, and be fine.
The only explanation for this is that this father called the lifeguards and the coastal police to deal with this man that's harassing his kids in low tide. Like,
actually, what happened was, because he says it's a private beach and there isn't public beaches that close, is the mom was there too, witnessing the dad and the son go whisking off into the ocean. So she ran down and got the lifeguards, who then drove down to help out.
I don't know if it's revealed at the end. You tell me if it is, but where have his kids been? His adult
the
children?
His kids are already out of the ocean at this point.
How convenient.
Yes.
Okay. Not
yes.
helping. He's like 18 and 16. How old are these kids? They're almost adults.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're like 14, 15, and maybe 12 or something like that. Right.
Kid's trying. See ya. Well, he's going to drown. I don't care. Cool to see you. Bye. Have fun, Dad.
Well, he acted like he needed to be out there with his kids before when they wanted to go swimming. That's how the whole story started.
I don't know. Keep going.
Yeah, I know. It seems odd to me, too, but what do I know? All right. And then Opie complains that he's the only person who's a good Samaritan out there.
I go in ashore, and then they get a rope around the father and the son. And now we got a lifeguard on the shoreline, like trying to pull the yellow rope in. She obviously needs help. I'm looking up and down the beach. This is what pissed me off, if you want to know the truth. I'm looking up and down the beach. I'm like, are anyone else going to help here? So now I jump, because I guess people think like, well, this is official business. I shouldn't get involved, blah, blah, blah. But the girl lifeguard was struggling trying to pull these people in from the water. So I jumped on the rope.
Opie, you live in the Hamptons. These people don't do anything. They don't help themselves. They're not lifting a finger. Of course they're not rushing into the water to help.
He did what? Bring in Officer Opie to right now. You fly by the seat of your pants.
Right.
You gotta follow these rules. You can't just keep. But the children
I
were
don't
dying.
play by the book, Sarge. You gotta
God
understand
damn it,
that
Opie.
about me.
When are you gonna play by the rules?
I get results.
It matters how we do it. The process matters, Opie. God damn it,
So
this fucking
Opie,
guy.
he's like, gosh, I'm so upset because I was concerned about my life and I have a family to take care of. But I'm even more concerned about these jerk neighbors I have who can't lift a fucking finger to help these people. And then we find out how dire this actually was.
The father just collapses on the shoreline and literally didn't get up for about 15 or 20 minutes. He was heavy breathing. I personally think this is where it gets a little grim. I personally think if the lifeguards didn't make it, I don't know if the father would have made it.
And whose fault would that have been? Adam, he just explained that if not for the mom being nearby and seeing this and running and getting the lifeguards, that the father would have died in the ocean. And the last thing the father would have heard is, get in here! Let's go!
Yep.
That's crazy. And Opie never acknowledges that.
Nope.
As he goes through this entire story, he never once says, maybe I shouldn't have told the dad to run in since the kid has a boogie board. He can float. I got the daughter. It's fine.
Maybe I just shouldn't have gotten involved. Maybe I should have been paying attention to my own kids.
I mean, I'm giving him credit for being the hero that none of us deserve. But again, he reiterates that the son would have been fine.
If you're on a floating device and you're in a rip current, fucking stay on the goddamn floating device. Who cares if you're way out? They'll get you. They'll get you. Unless you're on some crazy isolated beach, they'll get you. You're safe on the boogie board.
Again, this is why he should not have yelled to the father to go running into the Riptide.
And why was he wrestling about what to do for so long when all he should have done is just say, hey, hold on to that board, you'll be good.
Yeah, or swim sideways.
Swim sideways, go that way, yeah.
Swim sideways. You'll get out of it. You'll be fine. Relax. Stay calm. That's the other thing, too. I was doing some research on this, because I don't know if you know this. I don't spend a ton of time in the ocean. But I was doing a little bit of research on this. And the very first thing they tell you when you're in a riptide is to stay calm. So you don't need like a maniac sprinting out to the ocean, screaming at your dad, get in here, let's go.
Yeah.
That's going to cause some panic, I would think, of these kids.
No, you want to escalate the situation.
All right. After this story, Opie talks about how, when he's in New York City, when he's in Manhattan, he sees old people fall all the time. He never wants to help them because then it's a whole thing. He doesn't want to deal with it. He kind of limps over until someone else does it. Oh, okay, good. They're good.
Well, we're in the Hamptons. We can assume what kind of people these are.
But this is like Opie's proud of himself for getting himself involved because he never does that. And this is the last clip I have on here.
I'm like, would there have been a point where I would have had to let go of the girl's hand? That's what is freaking me out today. Is there a point I would have had to say, look, I got to let go because I got to save myself?
So Opie's all messed up by the fact that, wow, if this had lasted a little bit longer, he would have been like, all right, well, good luck to you. Bye. Gotta go. Good luck with this. That's a crazy thing to think.
He's come to face with his own mortality through helping others. It's a byproduct of being a good Samaritan.
I suppose.
This never happened. This didn't happen. I was with you in the beginning because you were right. His voice was different. And I was like, oh, he's speaking from somewhere else. But if you notice by the end, he's back to closer to his regular voice because I think this is something that happened. He either saw happen or happened years ago when his kids were kids, and he's then embellishing on this story and doing what I wished I had done thing. Because, in any interrogation, when you give too many details, it seems like you're lying, and he's just it sounded like a police interrogation. 150 feet. I think he had an iPhone Max Pro with a gray cover. And like
Rolex,
nobody. Why are you giving all these details? And the way he talked to his kids, again, he talks to them like they're little kids. Like, let me teach you about the ocean. Your kid's 14. They're not looking for you to...
They've lived in that house their entire lives. They spend every summer there. It's like, yeah, Dad, we know. We get it.
They know swimming. They've at least got that down.
Right.
So I don't know what he's talking about. And they mysteriously disappear. And then, of course, he's a hero, but also the victim. And
Adam, I will say, I pulled clips, so I didn't have the whole thing. He does talk about his kids coming out of the ocean, and that's when he realizes. So he did address that.
This is something that either happened a long time ago and he's building on, or he's just making up. Because
I'll tell you this, and I'll do it with a drop. I did get a text from Anthony this week about this because he's also enthralled with this story, and so I asked him his take on it, and he seems to think that this is all wildly exaggerated.
I would think so.
Yeah, like when you hear. Because, like you said, there's all these details to try to make it sound like it was like more incredible than it was. But then when you find out all he did was like grab this kid and he's just standing in the ocean, and then the kid goes away, and then he grabs the girl and he just stands there with the girl. Didn't sound.
It was the same thing with the phone store. You realize he just went to the phone store. That's what happened, and his mind is racing with all these things. It took a while for the data to
switch over because he didn't know his password. Right.
But he turns it into a stand-up set where they're quitting and fighting amongst themselves, and he's this, comedic genius, and people
break a half an hour before the store closes.
And they're like commenting on how funny he is and how he's getting off good ones. Everything's happening, right?
Yeah.
And what's wrong with his phone, no one's ever seen before. Like, it's based on a real thing, and then he takes it. That's what this is. It's based on some nugget of truth that he's turning into this whole fucking thing. It starts with truth, and then as it gets more fantastical, his voice gets higher and higher, and he starts to sound more like his old self, and he loses the thread, like anybody who's really paying attention points out, because he's not paying attention.
Who are these podcasts?